Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about never truly being alone. I've talked about this topic many times with other guests and just on my own podcast shows, and I think this is an important topic that we all really need to, comprehend and really think about. So, luckily for me, I have a special guest on my show who this is his main purpose, this is his movement, this is what he's trying to tell the world. So welcome, Scott, and if you don't mind just introducing yourself a little bit more further.
Hey, Missy, thank you one for so much for rescheduling with me because I brain farted last time and didn't come on. So really, really appreciate it. And it's so awesome to be on with a published author of Little Miss Puddles
Oh,
and
thank you.
other books, which is just fantastic of what you're doing. But no, again, I'm super blessed to be here. And our tagline, other than let's level up with time to shine today, is we're set up as a tribe, if you will, of we don't want to have anyone to feel like they have no one. So so that goes right along with never being alone. And basically, I was born in 1972, so I'm 50 years old now, but I was born during the Vietnam War. And at that time, I was born in the Philippines, and my father was American. He knocked my mom up, left, and at that time, bastard male children
Wow.
were taken from the mothers because like I'm 6'1", I'm 260, I'm pretty well put together. And if you had tens of thousands of bastard kids, and the Filipinos are little people, and they were literally taking from their mothers and shipping them to Spain because they didn't want to have us physically taken over the islands, right? And trying to bully people around. That was their thought process at the time.
Oh.
So my mom gave birth to me, and I was started an adoption process with an American family who was in the Air Force, a husband and wife, had two kids. They wanted to adopt one. And so they started the adoption process. And the woman that was going to adopt me, her father gets sick in California. So they get me a temporary passport. We go to California, and her father passes away. And
Mm.
she couldn't raise, they didn't feel like they could take me on and raise me. So they put me in an orphanage, right? So I grew up in an orphanage for a few years, got adopted by who I call my mother and father now, in Michigan. And I was raised by them, but my father was a Vietnam vet himself. He was an alcoholic. So was my mother. They couldn't raise me. So I bounced from house to house with family members. So I had a total feeling of abandonment. And
Yeah.
so what I did is I excelled at sports, got really good, got scholarship offers, but they didn't like my 1.2 grade point average because I didn't apply myself in school. So my dad's like,
Absolutely.
dude, you're not living here, without paying rent. So I went in the military. I did 7 years, did 6 tours in Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, uh,
Wow.
Colombia, of all places. And I built a team and a really cohesive family because we were all there together. And that's the first time in my life I ever felt like I was needed, wanted. And I love my mother and father, and they know, and my dad's my best friend now. My mom's passed on, but he understands and he hears me on podcasts talking about it, and he totally gets it. But it's just the military brought that family together. And then, I got into the real estate world in 1997, 98, and I built up a pretty nice company, own a bunch of investment properties, but I always kept people involved in
Mhm.
whatever I'm doing. And at heart, I'm an introvert. People see me on stage speaking, they're like, "Oh my gosh, Fergie is like nuts. He's this." I'm like, dude, I go into a kava bar. It's like a place with it's like a root drink, and I'll sit there with my Kindle and read and not want to be bothered. But I also have such a place in my heart to have everybody feel like they have someone there for them. That's why I started Time to Shine today. And so I'm blessed to have been able to interview 300 plus coaches, consultants, therapists, service providers, and whatnot. So if you're in a situation where you're just looking to level up, I got coaches I can introduce you to. If you're suicidal, like my little brother unfortunately took his life. And so that has a spot in my heart. I have suicide counselors right now that you can talk to. So I've put together an awesome tribe. And I'm also, my coach makes me brand myself a lifestyle optimization artist, which is basically a life coach. And I deal with, I'm so blessed to work with very high end luxurious clients. And it's just fantastic to have transformational conversations every day and help people level up. So I hope I didn't go too long, but that's my story. Oh, there's one last thing. My mom, my biological mother, kept my twin sister. So I got to connect with her like in 2004. So I guess I was 32 years old. And I got to connect with her, Jovi, and she actually lives in Jersey. So it's kind of a really cool, cool situation. And the topper on that is that I was told my biological father died in Vietnam. Find out he didn't die until 2019. And I have 4 half brothers and sisters with him that I just connected with in February this year. So that's that
Wow.
23andMe spitting in the cup kind of thing, and got connected. So it's pretty cool. My life is fun.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
your life sounds like just all over the
it
place.
is.
It's
Yeah.
it, to be honest, it just shows how if you really want to be above the statistics and the norms that people, like will damn you in, you can really
Yeah.
be above that, because let's be honest, with your situation alone, you should have been a drunk somewhere living
Thank you.
homeless, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and you became someone better, you're
Hmm.
doing better, you're helping other people, you have created a network around you that you are not being selfish with, and I
Right.
can see that, you're not I don't see you as a selfish individual because you are trying to give people an outlet, give
Sure.
people an opportunity to know that not only are they not alone, but there's resources, there's other people that are going through what you're going through.
Right.
And I think people who are able to share their testimony like yourself I applaud you because we need people like you. We need people
Thanks.
who are able to expose themselves in a way that it's not shaming, but
Hmm.
it's more so liberating and,
Yeah.
enlightening, because there's
Mhm.
so many people that probably have your story that's been bounced around from the orphan system and,
Mm.
went to the military to try to escape a hectic lifestyle and it's sad to say that it's normal, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
It
more
is a lot
normal
out
than
there.
what people yeah,
Yeah.
that this picket fence, oh, happy family lifestyle is that's rare, that's
Right.
more rare in itself than people having issues because back then, the generation that you were grown up in and you were born into, they were messed up, let's be honest,
Yeah.
mentally they were messed up. They were going through their own hardships and they didn't know what to do and they put their issues on their children and the next children and so on. So it's amazing to know that you made that change for yourself. And I guess
Yeah.
my biggest question is when did you realize for yourself that you didn't want to be like how people expected you to be or does that make sense?
Yo, absolutely. Absolutely. I during the time I always kept a huge chip on my shoulder. I was like, I'm gonna make money, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then God was like, hey, we're gonna do this thing in 2008 called a real estate crash. And I lost everything monetarily. And that's the year my brother Tommy took his life. And I was kind of in a spot where I was like, why the hell is this happening to me, man? I do everything that I feel good for myself. And then a gentleman at a library of all places, because I was broke. I was so broke I couldn't pay attention at the time, right? So it was like I was at the library and this guy walks up to me, goes, I think you need this book. And he hands me his book. It's called The Traveler's Gift. It's by a gentleman named Andy Andrews. It's this dude that his wife or I'm sorry, he loses his job and his daughter's dying. So he's like, he just thinks he's going to end it, drives his car into a tree, wakes up in 1945 in Harry Truman's office, give him hell Harry, the day before he's going to drop the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And and then he learns a lesson about responsibility. And then he goes in time and meets Anne Frank and learns a lesson about happiness and her issue, and then King Solomon, the wisest person that's ever lived, learns about wisdom. And I just took that and I was like, man, I'm not taking responsibility for what's happened to me. I understand there's variables that I can't get, and the past is the past, but I learned that responsibility, Mitzi, is nothing more than the ability to respond, not react. It's rooted right in the word. So I started really responding to things, thinking things through, becoming very curious. Okay. So, I mean, I was balling out, like printing money for a long time. And then I believe in God and that's my savior and whatnot. But he was like, no, dude, we're going to test you a little bit more. And he tests me even today. But I just got really curious and then started taking responsibility for myself. And then I put into action my something another coach had taught me is that we're going to do a plus equal minus lifestyle. So every single day for the last 13, 14 years, I've plus is like I try to meet somebody that's above me, somebody that I'm trying to reach and be like, not so much be them, but they did
Yeah.
things, right? And then the equals is someone like you, where we can bounce stuff off of each other and give each other ideas. And the minus does not mean they're lesser than me, but they're trying to get to my level and help them up. So doing that, I'm never alone. And the people in this world that are within me and my grasp and my curiosity are never alone either.
And it also sounds like with that equation, it helps you stay humble, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think
Yes.
that's the most important part is that when people get out of the struggle, they forget that humbleness that needs to be carried with them along the
Right.
way, and I don't think a lot of people remember that, they get in their pride and they get egotistical, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? They feel like, "Oh, I did this. It was
Yeah.
all me," but it's like, no, it really wasn't. There was a
Right.
team around you that really did help you,
Mm.
but you needed to make that first step. You needed to make that first acknowledgement. And I think my next question is, do you think your relationship with God and you find or just having that relationship with God really helped you steer your life the way it
Mhm.
did? I mean, the way it is now?
Yeah, when I was younger, and remember I was telling you I was bounced around from household to household. The one of them that they actually call my second mom and dad, and they were super strict Baptists, like
Oh,
fire and
okay, yeah.
brimstone, going to hell and stuff. And I was like, I couldn't wait to get away from it, right? And then when I went to the military, I found myself praying to the God I couldn't want to get away from, man. And so I started building a relationship with my creator, my God, and even through those times and to this day, even the rough times, I never bashed God, but I would have some serious conversations with him, like, why the hell is this happening, dude? You want
Yeah.
me. And then I just keep being reminded about Psalms 23. You walk through the valley of the shadow of death, right? You didn't wallow in it. You walk through it because you got him there. You're keeping going and you're keep in rocking forward. I keep religion out of my coaching, right? Unless they want to talk about it. But God is
Mhm.
everything to me, man. He's, I pray every day. I'm in Proverbs. There's 31 chapters in Proverbs. There some months have 31 days, so I just read a chapter a day, of Proverbs, and
Mhm.
that's written by King Solomon and King David, two of the wisest people that's ever lived on this earth. And I just learn from that, and I keep myself straight. And like you said, humility. And with my plus equals minus, when I'm reaching to that plus, or even collaborating with someone like you on the equals, that keeps me super humble daily,
Yeah,
right? And
most
then I
definitely.
I make two New Year's resolutions every year. One, make someone smile every single day, right? So I just got
Mhm.
you just smiled. So awesome. That's off. And number two, unless I've hurt you, disrespected you, or owe you, I give zero what's about what you think about me. So that's
Mhm.
where, I stay humble, but at the same time, I'm making people feel better, right?
Yeah.
So that's just
Yeah.
my definition of a life well lived.
Yeah, and the fact that you consider yourself to be an introvert, but you still put yourself out there
Yeah.
is very nice because I consider myself to be an introvert too. I love my alone time. I love just, having me time, and I think
Mhm.
it really helps me. But then I realize that I can't be alone all the time. It's
Right.
not
Yeah.
healthy at the same
It's
time.
not
Like
healthy. And we learned
it's
that in COVID,
good.
right?
Yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Right.
Like there's this balance that we all need to learn, especially introverts, because we get so distant sometimes.
Mhm.
And I love the fact that despite that you claim to be an introvert, you
Mhm.
don't let that necessarily define you,
Nope.
you
No
know,
way.
and you don't allow that to put up borders and put up walls in areas where there shouldn't be, and I
Right.
feel like sometimes that's something that introverts that claim to be introverts or just people in general who have that anxiety or that social anxiety issues, I
Mhm.
feel like that's something that people really need to work on. And I think leading to my next question is,
Mhm.
what is something that you coach yourself through or tell yourself when you're putting yourself out there, like in a talking event or around a lot of people? Like, how do you necessarily handle that you can pursue forward?
That's a great question. One, I make everything about them. Okay. I mean, I have my morning routine, which is all about me. You're right. But the rest of the day, I set my intentions. I do things for the intention, not the attention. Right. I don't care about that. But for them to lock onto me, I speak, I'm wheels up almost every weekend right now speaking. And for them to lock, and I'm the trampoline guy. So the rebounder, I have a rebounder on stage, and I go out the first 2 minutes is me bouncing on the rebounder and explaining to them the benefits of rebounding and how I use it in my morning routine. I'm like, hey, if you're this far off the rebounder, you're at zero gravity. You hit that rebounder, you're at 4 times gravity. So the lymphatic system's getting cleaned out 3 minutes in the morning. So I'm giving them value up front of something before I go into my speaking topic, but that also settles my nerves because I'm doing something and getting out there, and it makes it a lot of fun. And I'm sounds like I'm tooting horn, but I'm one of the most approached people after speaking events to talk and say, hey, come speak to our place. We need this kind of energy. But it's all about setting that intention about whatever I'm doing. And I set my intention before our conversation today, is I want to make Mitzi's podcast be the best that I can possibly make. It's already freaking awesome. I've listened to a bunch of your shows, but to also, try to level up my game to reach your level in a sense.
Yeah.
And that's what I do, man. Is I make everything about the first 90 minutes of my day, Mitzi, are me and nobody else. I don't have, my kids are older, like I said, I'm 50 years old, so I don't have anything but me. And luckily I'm looking at the Atlantic Ocean. I get in that, I rebound. I'm really heavy into jujitsu. I still compete to this day at 50 years old. So I'm on the mats at 6 a.m. Monday to Friday. So I keep everything that I can do to keep myself good enough to stay curious enough to help people in need.
Awesome. And I guess leading to my next question, because it does seem like you have a great foundation and you have a good structure and a good routine. But what do you necessarily do when it comes to those dark thoughts that come in, those depression thoughts or those ugly thoughts that may creep in? What do you do to control your mind from leading down
Great
that
question.
slippery slope?
Oh my gosh, that's a fantastic question. You know what I do? I go sit in my car. Okay. And I put myself in the present. Okay. So many people have, including myself sometimes, a foot in the future, a foot in the past, and I piss all over the present. Right. So when I sit in my car and I'm feeling depressed, and so trust me, I did, a bunch of tours and I've seen some stuff, and those um creep up on me as well. If it gets really bad, I
Yeah.
call Dr. Gold and I go to the VA's mental hygiene. I sit and talk to him. But if it's something that I know that is coming and you almost know it was coming, right? It's like you see it coming. I sit in my car and I look at that rearview mirror and say, that's your past, but it's so small. Okay. The past is a great place to learn from, but it's not a great place to live. That windshield is everything that's in front of you, but you go nowhere without being in control of the steering wheel and the gas pedal and the brake. And I sit there and I will wallow. I'll cry. It gets me out of an element and into an area where I can sit there. Okay, this sucks, man. This really sucks. Do I need to call Dr. Gold? Do I need to call my coach? Or can I get through this by staying here, staying present, and realizing that rearview mirror is small for a reason, and that's where those thoughts are coming from. It's not coming from that dashboard or that
Yeah.
that that windshield, right? So it's an exercise that I do, and I've actually taken coaching clients through, and they get it. You stay
Yeah.
present and understand that those thoughts that you mentioned are creeping up are super. It's something that's happened to you in the past, but what's happened to you is not happening to you, and that's
Yeah.
where I have to remind myself a lot more than I'll admit to you. It happens a lot, man. So
No,
that's just an exercise I do, Mitzi.
I thank you for that honesty because, I would assume with how much you've been through, just bouncing around from house to house, trying to find that stability, trying to find a family, and going through wars and through the military. I mean, I've met people through the military and PTSD is real, is
Very
a
real.
real thing. And
Thank
you
you
don't
for
even have
saying
to
that.
go, yeah, and you don't even have to go through the military and go through war to even have
Oh,
PTSD. You can have
no.
just something traumatic happen to you and something can just trigger that
Sure.
because that it happens to me sometimes. And
Mhm.
unless you're around people that understand PTSD, understand what people are going through, you are all I feel like they're not gonna understand. But I
Right.
think it's important to put yourself around people who will understand, who will
Mhm.
give you that second to just get yourself together, that
Yeah.
composure. And I think
Right.
that's very important. But I think the hardest thing that people are still fighting with still to this day is peer pressure to go into drugs and to go into alcohol to numb the pain and
Right.
to be fit into the crowd and
Right.
to try all these designer drugs because it's the latest and greatest.
And it's
You
easy
know,
to do, Mitzi. It's
it
easy.
is.
Drugs are easy, you know. I mean, I used to probably drink alcohol more than I probably should have during certain parts of my life. It's being around like the I guess you call it a fitness world or even the jujitsu world. There's people there that kept me in check. They're like, dude, you're getting fat. And those people are allowed to say that to me, right? Or, hey man, you're looking flash and puffy in the face, and they knew it. That's all they had to say. It was like a gentle razzing, if you will, reset for me. And that's where your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And if you have that right
Yeah.
tribe around you, that's where it is. And like you're part of my tribe, hopefully I'm part of yours. And like
Yeah.
anytime it's just awesome to surround yourself with those people, like you said, that'll get you places.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think oh, I was gonna say something, but then it
I'm
totally
sorry I cut you off. I'm
left.
so sorry.
No, no, you're fine. It'll come up like 2 hours later, and I'm just like, man, it's too
You'll
late.
text me and be like, Fergie.
What was this? Oh, that's so funny. But I think your story is truly amazing.
Thank you.
The what you told me is really inspirational. And I could only imagine, I'm just hoping at least just one person in my audience, just one, just one single person can just really take this and run with this because
Thank you.
I think this is really important that people really need to realize that your surroundings has a big impact on how you react to
Everything.
things. And
Right.
if you're in a toxic environment, the
Mm,
best thing for you to do is really get yourself out, even if that means being alone. I
thank you.
that's what I truly believe because I have done that. I had to do that. I had literally had to lift myself up and move myself because I needed to clear my head and realize I wasn't the crazy one. I know
Right.
I'm crazy at times,
Yeah,
but I know I'm
we
not
all have our own
completely
brand of crazy.
crazy. Exactly, exactly. But I guess to start wrapping up the show before it
Yeah.
completely cuts us off, what would be some great advice that you could possibly leave myself or my audience with? Even though you've already been giving us great advice already, what would be some lasting words that you can give us?
You know what? Don't don't take life too seriously because you're not making it out alive. We're all gonna die, man. So just have fun with life and do it scared. And if you are anything you want to do, do it scared. And if you need help, get in there, get your asking gear. Those are the three topics I talk about a lot. Is don't take life too seriously, you never make it out alive. Do it scared, and then get your asking gear, ASK. And those things will help you level up no matter what. And I'm here for anyone out there. Our direct line to Time to Shine today is 561-440-3830. And we're happy to talk to anyone, no matter your situation. Even if you're just looking for a new tribe to level up somewhere, we're heavily connected.
Awesome. And you're just in the States or worldwide or
I
I mean like
am, you know what? I'm now getting international,
okay,
so
awesome.
we're
Awesome.
we're
Cause
we can help in
okay.
different countries. So
Cool,
absolutely.
because I have an international audience too, and
Yeah.
I just wanna just make sure if anybody in my international, any of my out of staters, they wanna just reach out just to reach out. It won't hurt. You never know.
Right.
You never
Right.
know if somebody's in that location where you're at, or they happen to know somebody who knows somebody. You
Right.
never know.
Never
It's
know.
it's it's always best, like you said, to ask, because to asking, at least you have an answer versus to assume, and versus to just
Yes.
be like in fear. Nobody needs to live in their fear. That's what I feel like. And
Right.
what you said is just truly, truly needed, for
Thank you.
myself and for my audience and for just everybody in the world to really think about, because this is serious. These are serious times that we're living, and we need to not take them so seriously because it's going to kill us
Well,
faster.
it will.
Let's take our time
Yeah.
dying.
Right. I mean, there's times to get serious about situations. I'll tell you what, 95% of the time, it really doesn't need it. That's what people,
Hmm.
especially my veterans that come back, and I do pro bono work with the veterans. I coach them up and get them ready for the civilian world. And that's one thing I tell them is like, listen, man, your heart was racing because I've been there. Your heart's racing, your pulse is racing. So much cortisol is flowing through your body, adding to stress. It's not going to happen in this world, in the civilian world. And we're going to help them understand that. And that's how they thrive, because when they come back, they're so used to being shot at, living life and death. And they get back to the real world. They're like, shit, this is easy. Is it supposed to be easy? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mm.
That is what you just mentioned. It's absolutely spot on. That's why, we're here and we're blessed to be able to help people and meet people like you and your squad out there. I cannot wait to have Mitzi on my show. Yay.
Yay, I know. I'll be on there soon.
She will.
Alrighty, y'all. That's it. That's my show. If you guys want to know more about Scott, I have his lovely photo on my website. You can check it out. You can check out his link. You have access to his podcast. Like he said, he had hundreds of people on there with great topics that would truly keep you thinking
Yeah.
and keep you from getting stuck in your mind, getting stuck in that rut of whatever you're telling yourself that's negative. Brush it away, because there's
Right.
help. There is
Thank
most
you.
definitely help, and Scott's the guy. Scott's the guy to truly help you. And if you are a veteran, go seek that, because
Yeah.
a veteran from a veteran is so much easy to understand versus
Yes.
somebody who's just telling you, ignore it. Oh, somebody who's never been through what you've been through.
Right.
And I think when you find somebody who's really been through what you've gone through, that really creates a different like seed in your mind that you can plant and grow and create something different.
Yes.
Most definitely. So that's it. That's all I have for y'all. Stay safe and take care, y'all. Bye.
Love your guts. Mwah.